does get a point, but as Dessers disputes that offside call in the very closing seconds, Rangers have failed to win in their opening two Premiership fixtures for the first time since 1989, and Russell Martin still awaits a first league victory as Rangers manager. Dundee, though, they led going into the very dying moments, but for a James Tavernier penalty, and the final score at Ibrox Stadium is Rangers 1, Dundee 1, and it is further drop points for Rangers. And Michael, if you can now name your player of the match for this evening's game.
Well, I look at that back line, and the captain, Clark Robertson, for me was outstanding. I thought everything that came into the box, he marshalled the back line really, really well. All three of them, to be honest, but Clark Robertson in particular, he's my man of the match.
So the captain leading by example as Dundee go over to take the adulation of their support. That is a point very, very well earned by them. It's been a rocky start for Steven Pressley and a rocky domestic start, it has to be said, for Russell Martin. Further drop points for Rangers. You have to say a point gain for Dundee as the full-time score at Ibrox Stadium. Rangers 1, Dundee 1.
Thank you very much for that, Rory, and thank you to Michael for the commentary this afternoon. Alan Hutton and Tony Docherty still alongside me. Dundee so very close to that historic victory here. Just looking, Tony, at the players, Dundee players coming off the park right now, you'd think at any other time taking a point at Ibrox would be something they would celebrate, but it feels, I guess, looking at them like it's a defeat.
I see them over there celebrating with their fans. I think it's a very well-earned point. I thought the game plan worked for them. Disappointing Rangers, I've got to say, by the way they tried to break them down, but I do think, you know, they came here with a game plan, they exercised that game plan, and yeah, they're going away with a well-earned point.
Some happy faces in that Dundee team for obvious reasons. Some of the ones that are looking behind my shoulder not so happy. We're going to be hearing from the player of the match shortly, Clark Robertson, who had a bit of everything in this 90 minutes. But from a Rangers perspective, Alan, you know, a lot of these fans inside Ibrox left with 60-odd minutes on the clock, and I think that tells its own story. Yeah,
well, you heard a lot of boos as well at the final whistle. I think the Russell Martin spoke about the mentality of coming off a European fixture and having to play your best football to get a result, and unfortunately they weren't able to do that today, and it has to get better. I just feel when you look around, have they got the leaders within that dressing room to really drive them forward? At times I think they're missing that, and you can see it there. I mean, they threw everything at them, but it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't to be, but they need to do better.
And we've, as if by magic, we've got Clark Robertson, who's the man of the match. Congratulations first and foremost. What's the sort of overall feeling after that? Because there was just that moment you thought, right, this is going to be the moment of history, and just sort of the stoppage time to lose the points.
Oh, we're obviously devastated, yeah. I thought for large parts of the game we controlled them well. I had to defend the box well when we had to, but I thought the boys put in some shift today, and yeah, we just obviously got enough to get 3 points, yeah.
Your old managers standing beside you. Tony, on you go, have your say.
Clarky, just off air, we were talking there about how, you know, just physically but mentally you feel drained with that, and I think that's well, you've just epitomised that. That's the concentration levels that you need, you know, when you come to places like this, and I thought your back three, you know, particularly as the game went on, they went down to 10 men, they were playing things in from deep, and I thought he's defended your box extremely well. Yeah,
I think they obviously tested mentally, physically as well. You've got to stay fucking... Oh.
Sorry for everyone at home.
Sorry about that.
There's emotion.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you obviously can't switch off. They're a very good team. They try and play the balls down the side and get across to the box. And I thought everyone defended the box really well today. And yeah, like I said, we're just absolutely gutted not to get 3 points. I think on the balance of play, we did have other chances as well in the game. I don't know how my one in the first half's not gone in as well, but
I think you got.
I don't know how it's not gone in, but. Yeah, no, I think on the balance of play, like they obviously do test you in that, but I think we came here with game plan. We played that game plan really well, and
What was it, by the way? What was it? What did Steven Pressley say to you? What did they try?
You know you're going to come here and they're going to have large spells with the ball and that, and it's just all about staying compact, not trying to let the balls go through, and just try to stay switched on for 90 minutes, and I thought we did that for most of the game. Yeah.
I thought you were excellent at denying space for them, because if you see them on Tuesday night, they were really good at going in behind. You just didn't allow that to happen. Was that part of it?
Yeah, definitely. You obviously see the pace of Gassama and Antman on Tuesday night, and we knew we had to try and nullify the space in behind. And if they get the ball in front of you, you're happy with that. So yeah, I think we played the game plan really well, and it's just frustrating that we didn't make a bit of history today. Yeah.
Were you quite confident at the end that the Dessers was offside?
I thought our line was good, but just a little bit of intricate play, and Danilo slid in Dessers, but like I say, it's just that one moment they can hurt you, and luckily for us it was offside. Yeah.
You know, sometimes when you think about, particularly last season, and there was a little bit of maybe the sort of fear factor coming here might have changed a little bit. Do you sort of get the sense that might still be the case? There's a bit of residue from last season.
I don't think we came here and played with fear today.
No, I mean from a point of view of coming to Ibrox and thinking,
I don't think
it's Rangers.
So. I thought we were confident coming here. We thought we could come here and get something, and we've obviously done that. I don't think we really feared them that much now. So yeah.
I tell you what, there's Alan got something for you.
Congratulations, well played.
Well done.
Well done.
Clarky, well done.
All the best. I'd shake your hand. I know. I'm not getting it.
Connie, are you trying to say they came to Ibrox and feared it under Tony? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Listen, they would have feared it if you were here. That's certainly something to think about. Right, let's have a look at the Premier League table as it stands right now. Livingston still top on 4 points after 2 games played. Rangers still sitting in 5th place, and then look at that. If you look at Dundee, got themselves up the table with that point today, sitting in 9th place. How will that change after the games tomorrow? It'll be interesting to see. And also, here on Premier Sports, we've got plenty more action to bring you next weekend. We've got all the second round Premier Sports Cup action. You can watch them all on Premier Sports Player. And then on the Friday night from 7:15, we're at Celtic Park for Celtic against Falkirk. And then we're back at Ibrox next Saturday for 5:15. It's Rangers against Alloa. But it was quite something in the last sort of 20 minutes of this match. We will give you all the analysis and get the reaction from both managers after this short break. Don't go anywhere. Here at Ibrox, though, it was a share of the spoils. Rangers against Dundee, it was a goal apiece. An interesting 90 minutes for different reasons. Tony, from a point of view of Rangers, are they going to be looking at that and thinking to themselves, right, okay, we can build on this despite what the narrative might be?
I'm sure they'll look at it, and they'll look at teams that'll be the blueprint to come to Ibrox and to play Rangers, to sit in, play a low block like Dundee did, try and exploit set plays, against the system, the way they defend. But I'm sure they'll analyse that and they'll find a way, because they've got good players, they've got a very good manager. I'm sure they'll analyse that and find a way. We're very, very early on in the season, so I'm sure they will analyse that and improve. Said like a true manager.
Absolutely. He's definitely the manager.
Speaking of managers, just a sec, because we've got Steven Pressley, actually, the Dundee manager, who is live with Stephen Craigan.
Stephen, thanks for joining us. What's your overriding feeling at this moment?
Pride. I asked the group for that perfect performance, and we were so close to giving that. But I could cry for those players today, because they left every last ounce out there. They gave everything to Dundee today. It was an incredible performance, a resilient performance, and as I've said, I couldn't be prouder of the players.
It must give you lots of positivity moving forward, because you haven't been short of your critics, but we spoke ahead of the game and you mentioned about how hard you've worked in the training ground this week, and it showed on the pitch.
Thank you, but that's only a small part of coming here. The rest is about courage, about aggression, about control, and the players were amazing at that today. The tactical elements, of course, help, but it's really about the players if you get a result here, and honestly, I couldn't be prouder of them today.
When you talk about coming here, you talk about concentration, you talk about resilience, defiance. You can't give players that. They have to have it themselves. That tells you your group have something.
Yeah, they showed a lot. You know, I said last week after the Hibernian game I saw green shoots. I saw further improvements today. But as I said to them through there, we're still on 1 point. You get relegated on 1 point. We've got so much work ahead of us, I can't tell you. That was a big step for the group. You know, it'll give the group a lot of confidence, but as I've said, it's still very early. We've still got huge improvements to make, but they should be exceptionally proud of themselves today.
You mentioned the green shoots of last week. You mentioned the progress this week. Is that what it's going to be? Incremental improvements week on week, looking to get more players in to try and give them some support?
Yeah, I've obviously spoken a number of times about the importance to get support to this group. I really love this group. You know, they're a great group of players, but we need additional players. We need more support, and hopefully that will come in the next couple of weeks. But I think it was a very important step for us today, especially going into the international break. It gives us confidence, and we can work hard, and hopefully you'll see an even more improved performance against Kilmarnock.
You talk about the players getting a shot in the arm. Does Steven Pressley get a shot in the arm after watching that and just reaffirm that you're trying to move things in the right direction?
No, you know, I don't feel that. I really enjoy working with the players. I'm very fortunate regarding the staff as well that we have at the football club. We're all working exceptionally hard to make Dundee, you know, a very good club moving forward. But I keep saying this, it's not going to happen overnight. I keep reiterating that. We've got so many things to improve around the club, so many things to improve with regards to the team, and that will happen, but it will not happen tomorrow.
There's plenty of evidence there to feed to the players, and that's what managers like to do and coaches like to do. Feed the evidence to show what you can do and can you keep moving forward. So there's lots of stuff to show the players in the coming weeks when you do have that break.
Well, I certainly hope so. You know, I think over the 90 minutes I felt we did deserve to win the game. We had some great moments. We were a threat on set plays. As I've said, I just feel for them because they gave so much to the game.
Thanks very much for your time, Stephen. Well done.
I tell you what, they say a week is a long time in politics. It seems like an age in football because the conversation I think he was having after the Hibs game was slightly different than that interview with Stephen. Is that fair? Can things change around so quickly, or can that be a case of sometimes, you know, especially if Stevens wants to go to the board and say, I've still got 6 players I want to bring in. Is that helping his case?
Well, yeah, it's all dependent on performance and that. I mean, I said at the top of the programme, I expected it should be a competitive game, Dundee against Rangers. It was a competitive game. First part of the game when you started watching it and you realised that the tactics that Dundee were going to employ, they were going to sit in that low block. You were hoping they could contribute offensively as well, and they did do that initially through set plays, and then the good moments. I think particularly the sending off. It's a great run by Finn Robertson, good play, incisive play to get in behind. So I think they grew as the game went on, and yeah, every performance, you know, you take anything you can as a manager from, and you can hear the way Stephen's speaking there. He'll take a lot from that, as will the players will take a lot from that.
That first goal from Ryan Astley, there was moments where it looked as if that might be coming, but it certainly left the Rangers defence a little bit static.
Yeah, Clark Robertson gets first contact with the ball, as you see here, he just peels off to the back. And I just feel Rangers, especially from corner kicks, they had warnings earlier on. It has to be better. You have to go and be aggressive and be up against somebody. I just think they're a little bit passive. And there's only one winner there. Ryan Astley gets his head to it first. It's a great finish. Butland, no chance over him. But overall, the warning signs was there for Rangers. But really good finish.
I agree with that, but I also agree Ryan Astley's totally unopposed there. You know, and you can see the way that they're setting up that set play. They're going wide to come back in again. It's not that first contact, of course that's important, it's the second contact inside the box, and I think you've seen it in the first half with Clark Robertson's chance and the offside one as well. I thought they were negligent in that area.
Yep.
It also shows you at times when there's moments of mistake, lapse in concentration. You can see this here from John Souttar, what that can lead to, because Finn Robertson's thinking, I'm in here.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you give the ball away, it's not a great pass. I felt for Jig a little bit there. Finn Robertson does amazingly well, I think, to get across him, because it's very difficult then for Jigger to do anything about it. As you see here, it's a great little movement, because at first I was thinking, just try and run alongside him, like get there so you can just maybe have a block. Can Max Aarons get back round? I think he kind of gives up on it a little bit. He could possibly come in and help.
Yeah, because any touch there, you're leaving yourself wide open.
Because he's through and goal. That's the big thing. He's not going away from goal, he's going through and goal, so it's going to be a red card if you bring him down. So, but for Rangers, they didn't really start to play until that situation. They're a goal down, man down, and then there's a real intensity in their play to try and get something, try and get forward. It has to be like that from the start.
And eventually they did through the penalty. We were listening to Mikey Stewart saying in commentary that he wasn't 100% convinced about this being a penalty. Tony, how did you see it?
I think when you see it back, I think the way you play against Hamilton, I think he does really well to get in front of Dre Wright and then forces the issue there. And there is contact, I've got to say. I know it's soft, but I think if I'm giving the advantage here to the attacking player, he's got a cross in front of him and there is contact. And similar to there's enough contact there for me for it to be a penalty kick.
If you're in the Dundee dugout though as manager, you're raging about that.
Of course he is. Of course he's raging. No, but look,
you can't see his face right now.
Connie, he's on this side now, so do you know what I mean? He needs to look at it from both sides. But I think Gassama does really well to get in front of Dre Wright, and he gives him a problem. As soon as you get in front of the defender in the box, there's a tangle of legs, there's enough for him to go down. Yes, he does kind of flick his legs up a little bit, but in that situation, I think the ref's going to give it.
I would say there's enough contact there, and I do sympathise with Dre Wright. It's inside him.
I'm not leaving it.
He can't really do anything. He can't really get out of the way. But as I say, if you're the offensive player, you cutting across him forces that decision, forces the referee to make a decision, and he's made the decision.
The sending off as well.
Yeah,
he does brilliant to get in front of him, and then there's contact.
And I agree with Alan's point there. I think Aaron's can get further back, and then he's not last man. You know, if he sprints back behind you, he helps in that situation there. But unfortunately, no, he brought him down and it was a penalty. But you're right to say that. I think both things are quite right. The attacking player put the onus on a defender to make a decision. We
also heard when we saw Ryan Astley's opportunity when he took it, but he had a chance again, and this quite clearly could have been different.
Yeah, of course. I think from set plays, Dundee were excellent today. As I said, there was warnings in the first half. You see here, it's just that little bit of movement just to get away. And I think when you are zonal, it becomes quite difficult. And I know the manager's just in the building, he's got his own thoughts and ideas. Me personally, as a defender, I like being told by the manager, you're picking up X player, and then that's your situation to go and be aggressive with him and don't allow him to get first contact. And it happened too often.
There's something about that though, isn't there, about having the mentality, because we were sort of watching that for the side of the pitch, and I think we all looked at each other, thought that was in. So having the sort of character at that stage of the game to think, wait a minute here, we're not going to sit back, we're going to try and get this back and get the 3 points, tells you something, doesn't it?
A wee bit, but again, I think you need to look at. I thought it was a brilliant delivery by Finn Robertson, and from a Dundee perspective, they've identified gaps obviously within that zonal system, as Alan says, and obviously the goal as well comes from second phase, which often happens against zonal because you don't know when the ball goes back out again who's picking up who. Whereas when you're assigned a player, which I would always adopt, that's your player, and if your player scores, there's accountability there. So, yeah, I think you need to give credit, as I say, to Dundee for the attacking options that they had from set plays. But I would agree. I think at that stage of the game, you'd be looking for one of your Rangers defenders to get their head on that.
And Rangers, as Alan was saying, definitely showing that little bit more impetus towards the end of the game. And we thought Cyril Dessers had actually won all 3 points for them, Alan, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, I mean, they were pushing forward. They threw everything at it. They only had like 2 defenders on the pitch and more or less 4 attackers. And you can just see here, when they play quickly and they up the tempo, there's an opportunity to get through. It's a lovely little ball, flick round the corner from Danilo, what you want, because he's a clever player. And Dessers on the shoulder of the last man, unfortunately, is just offside. Really well worked, but you want to see this earlier on in the game. Can they move the ball quicker and try and get in behind?
Again, credit. I spoke to Clark when he came over there. It was a good line, a really good line at that stage of the game, and I think Rangers finished the game so strong, and I'm sure that's what Russell will be emphasising if they continue that way in that fashion. But I think you need to give credit to that back line of Dundee.
Well, we'll find out what the Rangers manager's got to say after this draw with Dundee. We're going to be hearing his thoughts after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Ibrox. It finished here in the Scottish Premiership. Rangers 1, Dundee 1. Let's get the thoughts of the Rangers manager, Russell Martin.
Russell, the script didn't go according to plan today. Why was that?
Yeah, I'm not sure there ever is a script in football. It's never easy. I think we lacked aggression with the ball, lacked a bit of speed, and definitely lacked aggression without it until we went down to 10 men. So hindsight is a beautiful thing, and I probably... After Tuesday, you want to keep some consistency, but I probably should have made some changes and put some energy in the team, so that's my responsibility. But we lacked aggression in big moments, set plays especially, which is disappointing because we've done a lot of work on them, defending them so well on Tuesday night. we just lacked aggression with the ball, really. So you can't get bored of doing the right thing all the time and running and moving the ball quickly, and it was a bit too slow at times.
Was it a surprise to you that after such a good performance on Tuesday, you were loyal to the players and stuck by them, that there was a flatness and a lethargy at times in the first half?
Yeah, I would agree with you. There was definitely a lethargy, and it's disappointing, frustrating. So we're learning so much about the guys. They're learning so much on the pitch as well about what's important. So the other night we had to be patient, and then when we got picked off, when we got pressed, when we picked people off, then we could go quickly. Today we're not getting pressed, so it's a completely different challenge. So the ball has to travel really, really quickly, and it didn't. But we'll learn from it. It's so early on. It's a long season. The guys will be better for it, for sure, and we just have to keep reminding them what's important all the time.
You know how in football things can be micro-analysed. That's 2 league games after 2 European games. There seems to be a narrative like, why can they not raise their game in domestic football like they do in European football?
Yeah, and I've not been here for very long, but I've been told that's gone on for quite some time. So it's about changing habits. I've spoke about this a lot, and we will. I'm convinced of it. So we're learning all the time about the group. They're learning about what needs to be expected and put on all the time, and we didn't do it enough today. So when we went down to 10 men, there was so much running, so much aggression, and yes, the opposition had tired at that point, but the ball travelled quicker, more crosses in their box, a bit more intent to actually try and hurt them, and the first half just wasn't enough of that.
So is that frustrating that it takes a little bit of adversity before people actually come out of their shells and throw themselves into the game the way you want them to do from the start?
As I said, I'm learning about the group all the time, and they will learn from today. We will learn from today. We'll be better for it, because every challenge is different. So we have to be prepared for that, especially at home, the challenge at Dundee. And they were so well organised, but we have to do way more to disrupt them and break them down.
The supporters vented their frustration at the end of the game. Do they have every right to do that?
Yeah, I think I've said it all the way along. Supporters are the most important people at every football club. So they have every right, but it's a really long season, and this team will grow. Hopefully they will be patient with them and grow with them, because we had a great night Tuesday night, and this is the highs and lows at this football club. But we'll be really consistent with the guys in what's expected, the process, how we behave, how we perform, and we'll get better. It's early on. I'm really pleased we didn't get beat. So I know that sounds negative, but going down to 10 men so early in the game, and then the willingness to drive and then try and win the game, I enjoyed that side, but we have to play with that mentality all the time.
Last season, I think Rangers dropped points in 16 league games. That's 2 and 2 already. So you can understand why there's frustrations coming from the stands, like they've been in this movie before.
Yeah. I would say it's a very different thing now. It's a team that's very early on in our way of doing things. So we will get better. We will improve, and we will make sure that days like today don't happen too often.
Thanks very much for your time, Russell. Much appreciated.
Russell Martin talking to Stephen Craig there. This idea of things will improve, and just listening to Russell Martin talking about the highs and lows of being at a club like Rangers. I suppose the challenge with that is that the expectation here is there are more highs than lows.
Absolutely. The expectation's huge. And that's something that everybody has to deal with, the manager, the new players that come into the building. That's why you need certain types of characters to drag you through certain moments in games. And I think they will get better, of course. But Rangers last season, when they were playing in Europe, when they were playing against Celtic, teams that actually attacked them, allowed them to get in behind and play their football. That's when they kind of rose to the challenge. They need to get better when they're playing against teams that sit in low blocks, and they need to move the ball, as Russell said, really quickly to try and get in behind them. They don't do that enough, and they need to learn from it quickly.
I think the really frustrating thing from Russell's point of view, and you could see that in his interview, is that when his team went down to 10 men, that's the team he wanted them to be. You know, the big word they used for me there was how to disrupt, and they had to disrupt the defensive organisation of Dundee, which was great. You know, they set up really well, but with those players on the pitch, they managed to do that. And when the way the game finished as well, they had such an impetus. You know, they looked like they were going to get that second goal. They almost got it, and that'll be the frustrating point from his point of view, is that he would have wanted them to do that from minute one.
Yeah, that was a great question from Craigs about this idea about how is that part of your frustration? How do you do that? How do you? What is it you need to change in a player's mentality to make sure that is from minute one?
That's a manager's job, you know, and that's as he said, he's new to the group, so he's finding ways, and he will. I'm sure he'll take the positives from that, you know, and he'll look at the performance from when they went down to 10 men and see that when teams come here and they sit in the way Dundee sat in, that he's got answers on the pitch, and more importantly, that the players see that and they bring that to the fore, because as I say, when they did go down to 10 men, that's the speed of play, as he said, the moving the ball quickly. That's what he wanted them to be from minute one.
Just briefly, because we're heading into the Premier Sports Cup next weekend, that game against Alloa is going to be huge.
Of course, they're all huge. And that's what the manager says. And there'll probably be changes, I would imagine. But he'll want to see the same things that he's looking for from all his players. I just feel it comes down to the team as well. You have to work hard from minute one to allow yourself to then be creative and get something going. So, look, long way to go.
We shall see. We will bring you all the action from the Premier Sports Cup second round next weekend. My thanks to both of you today for your company. Tony, hopefully you'll be back joining us again soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. And thank you very much to you at home for watching. We'll see you next weekend at Celtic Park on Friday from 7:15. Have a good weekend.